Hello, friends. I want to ask you a question to start off with, and that is, who would you be if you're not holding yourself back? Who are you when you just let yourself be yourself? I think for the most part, people don't know really what the answer is because we don't really know who we are. We have created this personality, this character that we are fully identified with. And we don't really know who we are outside or inside of that character. And that's why we just live it out. Could be a character of, somebody who is trying to please everybody all the time. I think a lot of women can relate to that, at least in the past. And, or somebody who doesn't want somebody else to feel uncomfortable. They might just go and, soothe them right away. If there should be some emotions that are trying to surface, they might just try and soothe it so they can stay in that character or that personality. And then there's the characters who wants to control other people. There's plenty of those when we look in the world, out in the world, right? And when somebody is very controlling and very firm or threatening, what do? We shrink and we move away from our authenticity, our sovereignty, because we are afraid. So all these character styles, they basically are rooted, guess what? In fear. I know I have suggested to watch this YouTube many times because it all comes back to that fear is the fuel of the matrix. That is how the matrix stays alive. And it's very easy for the matrix to keep throwing in a new story, a new curveball, something to like, oh, you need to be afraid of this. Oh, you need to be afraid of this. You certainly need to be afraid of what people think about you, right? That's a very, very common one. Has certainly run a lot of my life. It's a lot less, but I can still feel, there is a part that would like it. I'm not changing myself to be liked. I think that phase is over. I don't know even how I would do that. But I might just not say so much, or I might just say it in a way so at least it can be received. And there's nothing wrong about that. We talked about the authenticity and how can we be authentic with each other, when we can't even be authentic with ourselves first. So as with everything, it all starts here. Who would you be if you were authentic with yourself about yourself? What do you know about yourself that you are afraid to admit? And that doesn't mean it's all negative, by the way. What beauty, what gifts, what expression do you know inside is you, but you're afraid to show it? So you can see we are all living under this layer, under this veil. I just saw the other day that veil and evil is basically the same word. So I thought that was interesting. I hadn't thought about that. I just saw it. It's like, oh, okay. So this veil, we can say in a way it's evil because it is preventing us from being who we are at the core? I know you probably can't answer that question. It's like, oh, yeah, this is who I am. It doesn't work that way, but it does work in a way where we can start feeling when we are not being authentic with ourselves first. Can you admit to yourself that you're incredible? Can you admit to yourself that you are making a difference in the world just by your little contributions? Maybe just a smile here and there, kind gesture. It does not have to be big. Many times, those who are big names, big personalities, they may not be able to take others, down deep into their heart and into their authenticity. I'm not saying they can't, because there are some amazing people out there, absolutely. But we should not dismiss our own value of who we really are when we let ourselves be that. Is it scary for you to be very authentic and straightforward with somebody? And if you are, how are you filtering yourself? And this is just a little bit for your own exploration, right? Because when you can start being authentic with yourself, then it's going to be much easier to be it when you are with others. So just think about, how are you okay just sharing your gentleness, your softness, your wildness, your love, your authenticity? Can you just be yourself, at least admitting it to yourself that, this is actually who I am. And I bet nobody really knows that about me, or something like that, right? We hide these qualities. And since I've been talking about authenticity a little more lately again, I want to just add to that until we are fully authentic, starting with ourselves, we are living maybe a double life, right? We're still living as a character outside of ourselves, and we're not fully living in and as that flow that we are. This is no small thing, by the way. This is something that can take a long, long time to fully settle in ourselves. It's a journey I've been on for a very long time. And then sometimes when there's, where I'm dropping deeper into something, I move through a layer, contraction, part of the veil. And then there is like a sense of expansion where I just feel like, oh, I can, I feel more myself now. And I don't think many people would notice it, especially in the beginning. But then as I own that more and more in myself, where I feel like, okay, I can actually, speak my truth a little less filtered, maybe. That's been part of I shared some of that with you, that to come out too boldly with things, there's a fear that, it's going to scare people away, and then they cannot receive the message. But it also has put me in that place where, maybe the right people are not able to really hear or sense or feel the frequency that I bring, because I keep filtering it. So I'm using myself as an example. I usually do, because what else can I talk about than my own experience? And so it's learning to be ourselves and yet honor our family, our neighbors, our community, kind of really learning, where can I meet them with my energy without pushing them away, or without losing them, where they, glaze over like, what are you talking about? So if we want to stay in connection with others, we certainly need to stay in connection with ourselves first. And that's why you can start sensing, feeling like, okay, I can say this, but I can feel that if I say this, it's not going to land. So what's the point, right? What is the point? But if I speak over here, if I say it, damped down, filtered, I'm not going to reach them, right? There's something missing. So I need to be more bold, more myself, more authentic, so that we can meet here, where these other ones, maybe we meet here, or here, whatever it is. So it's that being fully aligned with yourself and learning to listen to your own intuition, your own energy, your own authenticity. There's a lot to pay attention to. And that takes time. And I want to, of course, always invite you that you're welcome to reach out to me if you want to explore that with me and, get in touch with who you really are. This is what it all comes down to, my friends. Who are we really if we are not that little character here? We're still here, right? If you let go of your character, if you let go of, being being the pleasing one or the controlling one, those are characters of the matrix. That's not who we are. So if we let go of those, you will notice that there is still something here, right? There's still something here. You are still here, not the characters, not your personality or personalities. There's just something that is still here. And that is the part we can learn to rest back into and open up to and allow to come out in a way that is unfiltered. So that's a little invitation today. If this resonates with you, just take some time and think about, who am I really if I'm not holding myself back? And you might just get one big question mark because you have no clue who you are, because you are so identified with these characters. And and then all the layers that we don't even know that we're identified with. So every time we open up one layer and kind of soften that and see through it and maybe let it go, then we might notice there's other flavors of that character or other layers that are surrounding it or underneath it. And that's how we keep just softening all these layers of who we are not, so we eventually can just let them go, soften them, and then instead of putting our energy out here as these characters, we can finally bring it home to who we are. And the more we can be that energy, the more we can comfortably and confidently be that. You might notice that you are a lot more quiet or still around others because the one who would interact with their personalities and characters, that was your personality or character. So there was this interaction going on with something that was actually not you. So when you come to spend time with your friends, your colleagues, and you choose not to engage in that, it's a little weird, because we're so identified with it, aren't we? But then take some time and just give yourself permission to just be still. It's okay if you don't say so much when you're with others. um, it might be awkward in the beginning. It might be awkward, but it might also be a huge relief. Huge relief that you don't need to engage in that nonsense anymore because it's not who you are. And what happens then You're just here, and then you can sense a lot more about what's going on with these people. And then you might even be able to meet them in their truth. So something gets sparked in them. And then they move on, what's that? Right? So we can spark that in each other. We can invite that out in ourselves. The stillness, the presence, your frequency. It's very beautiful and it's very different from, that character that maybe inauthentic, consciously or unconsciously, part of us. And then you start finding out who are you truly when you're just being yourself. And that's where you start dropping in here and start bringing out a very, very different frequency. And I would say the world would benefit from it. So give that a try if you feel moved. And then please like, comment, share if you want to. I always love to hear from you. I love the comments always. That kind of brings some more aliveness to the video. All right, friends, until we meet again.